The objectives for this video are to learn how to use the TI graphing calculator to draw a scatter plot, learn how to use the TI graphing calculator to find the linear regression equation, and learn how to use the TI graphing calculator to find the correlation coefficient. In a previous video, we used a data set that consisted of two correlated variables, hours spent studying and GPA, for a sample of students. We will now show how to use the TI graphing calculator to graph the scatter plot for these data and find the regression equation and correlation coefficient. We will begin by pressing Stat and then 1 in order to enter the list editor. Now enter the data for the hours spent studying per week in list 1 and the corresponding GPA values in list 2. In order to graph the scatter plot, we will press second and then the y equals stat plot button. Now press 1 in order to enable the stat plot function and set our graph type to a scatter plot. Make sure the cursor is blinking on the On selection and press Enter. Now make sure that the graph type that is highlighted is the first type, which is the scatter plot. Make sure that the X list is set to L1 and the Y list is set to L2. Choose a mark for the scatter plot points and a color if it is an option, and then press the Graph button. The screen may or may not display the entire scatter plot. In order to change the window settings so that the entire scatter plot is shown, press Zoom and cursor down to Zoom Stat. Press Enter. Now the entire scatter plot should appear in the display window. These correlated data values appear to present an approximately linear relationship between the variables. Now press Stat. Cursor over to Tests, then cursor down until you find the linear regression t-test. Highlight that selection and then press Enter. Make sure again that the X list is set to L1 and the Y list is set to L2. For our current purposes, the other items can be left at their default values. Now highlight Calculate and press Enter. Notice that the output tells us that the format for the regression equation is given as y equals a plus bx. Y will be the predicted values of the dependent variable, which in this example would be the GPA values. A is given as 1.542 when we round to 3 decimal places, and B is given as 0.100. So the regression equation will be y equals 1.542 plus 0.100x, where y represents the GPA and x represents the hours spent studying. Cursor down farther and we find that r, the value of the correlation coefficient, is r equal to 0.864 if we round to 3 decimal places. This indicates that there is a fairly strong positive relationship between the variables hours spent studying and GPA. In this video, we learned how to use the TI graphing calculator to draw a scatter plot. We also learned how to use the TI graphing calculator to find the linear regression equation and the correlation coefficient.